This is Eugene Mazzo with DG Logic. You're watching Control Talk Now with Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist. Control Talk Now is your official news provider to the controls industry.
Here we go. Hey, welcome to Control Talk Now for the week ending September 22nd, 2013. I am joined, as usual, by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the guy that Mike Tomlin's probably going to call in to quarterback his team if Big Ben goes down, Kenny Smyers. Kenny, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, Eric. That's not likely, but we're going to need some help here in Pittsburgh. If we play any lousier, we're going to wind up with a less than 500 season for the first time in a long time. That would be an awful thing to walk around here in Pittsburgh with a losing season. But how's things going down here in Atlanta?
Well, things are going okay. Our Falcons, we have 5 starters out this week down in playing Miami, so could be the same for us, buddy. The name of the show might have to be the Losing Professional Football Team show. But hey, Kenny, I wanted just a special thanks to Eugene Mazzo from DG Logics. He and Dennis and Arthur, I mean, what a class act those guys are. They make a great product. We're going to hear more from Eugene a little bit later in the show, but thanks, Eugene, so much for that great introduction. So, Kenny, who's our sponsor this week?
All right, Eric. The sponsor for Control Talk Now, week ending September 22nd, is Mike Marston and EasyIO. Everyone knows EasyIO, and why don't you tell us a little bit about Mike?
Well, Mike, I mean, we love Mike and Lim and his team out there. We finally call Mike the mad scientist. Mike's an ex-tritium guy that went out and started EasyIO. Yeah, as you guys may or may not remember, EasyIO, well, you should remember this, was the winner of the 2012 Building Automation Controller of the Year with their EasyIO product, and Mike has just improved that. He's rolling out the beast, as he calls it. There'll be more on that. So congratulations to Mike. Mike travels around the world. We sometimes have a hard time catching up with him. He probably has more frequent flyer miles than anybody on the planet. But great guy, Kenny. Really knows the product, very passionate about what he does. And I tell you, it's going to be interesting because we have a lot of competition in that Controller of the Year market. Speak a bit about that if you will. I know you've been sort of going through some of the nominations and a lot of new players showing up, huh?
Oh, there sure is, Eric. Just real quick, last time I talked to Mark, he was in Australia. That was probably Monday of this week. The Beast of the East is power, 2 ARM processors, memory, storage, SD card for massive history and storage, supports all the major BACnet, Modbus web services. But the Beast from the East and the controller competitions going on, we're seeing more and more specialty. The Beast, the 32G, Mike calls it the electrician, the contractor's controller, because an electrician can put it in. And it's got all you need. It has the graphical interface. It has the data server. It has now with the HTML5 graphics is iPad friendly. You want to go over any of the new people in the awards because I have it up. Some of the new controllers.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we mention a few of them? Because one of our objectives with the Control Trends Awards this year was to really widen out the spectrum because there's so many great companies and products and people that Kenny and I might not know because, as most of you know, we are distributors and we handle like Johnson Controls, EasyIO, DG Logics, a lot of those companies. So we're really thrilled in this nomination process that more and more people are getting involved. I mean, companies that we don't necessarily handle, which was one of our goals. So we are thrilled to welcome some of the new competitors in the 2013 Control Trends Award. So, Kenny, why don't you run through a few names, if you will?
Sure, I'd love to. And it's a global competition. We have participation at present from 15 different countries. But we have the new includees or the new inclusion controllers are Reliable Controller, Mach Pro Sys. We have the Carrier iView OPN MPC XP, Automated Logic ME8112U, the Train Tracer UC210, Delta DSC 1616, and eBeacon. We have the American Automatrix NBGPC-1, the KMC FlexStat, and the KMC BAC-A16 building controller, 1616, I'm sorry. And then DG Logics came up in the DG box. I'm not sure if that's a controller, but amazing participation. I think there's over 24 entries now for the controllers.
Yeah, it really is, Kenny. And I'd like to reach out to all those vendors. If you're listening, please reach out to Kenny and myself. We want to make sure you guys are included in the awards and that you're able to get tickets. And we want to keep you involved in the process. And probably the best way to do that is you can either email me, equist at mac.com, or Kenny, what's the best email address if they want to reach out to you?
Just go with the smypgh at gmail.com.
Great. So, again, really thrilled about that. Please, the nomination ballots are out. I mean, if you go to the controltrends.org site, you can see it on the right-hand side. You can grab a link to the nomination ballots. Please put that out to your network. A lot of people are, and we're seeing that in the nomination process. The people that are really getting involved and pushing it out to their network are getting a lot of votes. Remember, you can share that link. You do not have to be registered to nominate. You will have to be registered to vote for a finalist, and the registration platform is on the Control Trends site as well. So, Kenny, great stuff. So, what do we have up first this week?
First up, we have the free cooling map for North America, compliments of the DOE and Green Grid. That's a great post. I hope everybody has a chance to go see that because, again, we have tools like the Zip Economizer from Belimo. They give you a nice zip code tool to find out where you're at and how many days of cooling you can have, free cooling. And then also you have Honeywell's, they do a nice return on investment tool with an economizer because basically everywhere in North America, they say you've got so many days of cooling. And it's really interesting when you see it with the color-coded map. In our area, they do it by hours. And so if you're really interested in saving cooling and reducing the loads, your mechanical equipment, there's 54 days approximately in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, that you can use free cooling at some point in the 24 hours, especially for data centers and big areas where they have to have constantly cooling. For buildings, when you cool the building down in the morning, your first stage of mechanical cooling can be the outside air just coming in and blowing through and cleaning out your building with some good fresh air.
No, excellent with that. And the Honeywell Jade Economizer and the Belimo Zip Economizer are two products that are actually up for Control Trends Awards. So could be interesting to see how that happens. But these tools are great, Kenny, basically because what we're learning more and more from people like Mark Jewell, who we'll talk about later in the show, and Jack Connell, who we also talk with about energy savings. What we're learning, Kenny, is that there's so much to be had in terms of energy savings, and that the really savvy building owners and building engineers are dialed into this. And it's kind of great if you can get an upgrade or a retrofit with one of these economizer controls, which we talked about are easy to install and they work well. It's just sort of a no-brainer. So, yeah, very good post there, Kenny. What do we have up next, buddy?
All right, next up, Eric, was Johnson Controls announces the discontinuation of FX PCV 1610, the PCV 1620, and the LP FX VMA series controllers. It's a great post, too, and Johnson's does a great job of giving you both the discontinuation numbers and the replacement numbers all in the same paragraph. And then they explain that the new controllers are replacements for previous generations of VAV box controllers and provide additional features and functionality. And the reasons why they just the parts and pieces to make the old components, to keep the old models going, are being harder and harder and more expensive to get. So it's a very logical progression, and Johnson does a great job. There's no sacrifice in features. In fact, there's an improvement, and they've maintained the N2 protocol or communication bus. So everything's good at Johnson.
Well, yeah, and in talking to Chris Eichmann, who incidentally was co-winner of the 2012 Control Trends Executive of the Year, and it's also a candidate for the 2013. Yeah, it's what you said, Kenny. Basically, those controllers were great controllers. They experienced the same thing that a lot of manufacturers are experiencing now, which is basically you just can't get parts. The chips get upgraded. They become better chips, better components, and so the parts and pieces that these manufacturers are using, those suppliers are discontinuing products. So I think it's a good thing all the way around, and we'll talk more about it. We'll keep you updated on that. If you have any of the old stuff and want to continue with that, it's a good time to reach out and try to get some of that product. And we think that there's going to be a lot of that posted on ControlBid, which you guys will remember is a site that we started. It's a control auction site, controlbid.com. And that would be the type of place where you could either post old controllers like that if you were going to upgrade your system, or if you were trying to find like a VAV controller here or there, that would be a place you could go and find those. We encourage you to visit controlbid.com, upload your stuff. It's kind of like eBay for controls, but we don't charge the listing fees, and you don't have to worry about relisting. Once you put it up for an auction, it'll stay there till it sells, and it doesn't cost you anything unless the product sells. So anyway, that's my commercial for ControlBid, Kenny. We're getting more and more people coming to that site. It's going to take a while to sort of build up a huge inventory on that site, but everybody I talk to thinks it's a great idea and is supporting it. So we'd appreciate it if our listeners out there would check it out too, controlbid.com. So speaking of Johnson Controls, Kenny, Johnson has their big conference coming up, customer conference coming up in Phoenix, Arizona, October 6th through the 8th. Really excited about that. I'm going to be out there for sure. I think you might be as well. We're going to be covering that for Johnson Controls. But hey, our first guest today is Dan Flaherty. Tell our listeners a little bit about who Dan is.
Well, Eric, Dan's the Regional Product Distribution Manager, Southeast Systems, North America for Johnson Controls out of Florida. And
yeah, well, so we get to work with Dan. Dan's a super nice guy. We work with him a lot. Very, very sharp individual. He's right at the heart of this Johnson conference. So, hey, Dan, welcome to Control Talk Now.
Hi, good morning, Eric and Ken. Yeah, it is great to be on my inaugural broadcast of Control Talk Now. Thanks.
So, Dan, tell us a little bit about the conference. I mean, what's the theme this year, and what are you guys trying to accomplish?
Yeah, Eric, our theme for this year's show is building championship teams. 2 years ago, when I organized our customer business conference in Orlando, it was a pretty good show, and as we do every show, we survey our customers after the fact and ask them what it is they would like to see improved in next shows. And we got a lot of great feedback on the product content, the technical knowledge of our presenters and guests, and just great feedback there. But one of the things that our customers asked for was, man, can you give me more business and sales training during a show like this? And if you did that, we would be able to bring not only our technical staff, but business owners and maybe sales managers could get more out of the show than just seeing our new products and what's up and coming in technology. So that's exactly what we did during this year's show, and really keeping with the theme of a championship team, we wanted our customers to bring along maybe one or two parts of their organization, and we would have a dedicated track for those individuals. So we have two tracks this year, really a business track, and then the standard technical track where you'll get all the up-to-date and latest news on our products and technologies and new products that are coming out. But really focusing on the business track, we've got a couple really interesting topics this year, and a lot of guest presenters. We have Nancy Combs from a management consultant organization that's going to come in and talk about some HR strategies for your organization and maybe some pitfalls. We're going to have some topics on the next generation global workforce, really Gen Y, and what that means. How do you effectively manage that up and coming generation in the workforce? Cloud-based applications, and as you mentioned on your last week's show, maybe some updates around Panoptics. You'll also learn how to participate in the emergence and growth in energy management and have a good discussion on what that means in the industry. I was just at Appalachian State University a couple weeks ago, a Panoptics customer of ours, really a beta site going back a couple years, and had a great discussion with that organization on what does cloud computing mean to them? What does app-based energy management give to them where they might not have had some of that value in building automation systems in the past. And then in addition to that, we're going to have introduction classes around situational leadership and the famous spin selling we're going to bring in guest speakers for those. And those, as you know, are multi-day courses. We put a lot of our account executive team through that training, really to develop and hone in on one's sales skills. So hopefully you see just a tremendous amount of value, not only on the technical side, like I mentioned, but really for your sales and management teams as well.
All right, Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Johnson has decided to invite the distributors' customers this year. Why was that?
Great question. Really in keeping with the theme on the championship teams, we just thought it was vital, and our customers gave us this feedback. We have a customer council made up of, around 2 to 3 customers per geography that we spend some time with twice a year, getting a lot of feedback into our products, our strategies, our communication. And one of the things they said on a customer business conference was, if there was a way we can invite and include maybe some of our top customers as a distributor to partake in the event and see the value and attend some of the training and see the product showcase, that interaction there at the show with your customers and us and you really could develop some close bonds, and the access to the information is right there and immediate. So that's what we're doing this year. It's a little bit of a logistical challenge, but we're essentially having our show, and then we're redoing our show when your customers come in kind of towards the tail end. And a lot of the content you're going to have previewed in advance, and then we're going to, with you, bring that content to your customers. And ultimately what we really want to get out of that is just general excitement around where Johnson Controls is going, what our investments are, what is our FY14 strategy on the year, and that way all three of us, the distributor, your customer, and Johnson Controls, are really on the same page. Our growth challenges next year are quite large, as probably most of your suppliers, and we really are very bullish on the year. So what a great opportunity to just bring a lot of people together, at the Talking Stick Resort in Scottsdale here in literally 2 weeks from today. It starts. To really kick off our fiscal year with not only our customers on the ABCS side, but really our distributor customers as well.
So, hey, Dan, listen, that really sounds great. And I guess for our customers and distributors that are coming out, any tips or suggestions on how they can really get the most out of this meeting?
Sure. 3 things. First and foremost, come ready to have some fun and really celebrate a phenomenal FY13 growth year. We genuinely want to thank our entire customer base across North America for helping us achieve our pretty lofty growth targets for last year, but obviously it was all at the efforts and attention from our great customers across North America. Second, come prepared to, as you all do so well, give open, honest, candid feedback into how we can do better. What are market conditions like in your area? How are our products competitively positioned in the marketplace? What are some opportunities for growth? There will be multiple levels of Johnson Controls executive leadership at the show. The vice presidents and general managers of the regions will be there, as well as many management and executive layers from Milwaukee, product managers, really you name it. There's going to be over 300 people in attendance. But what a great time to interact and provide feedback. We chuckle sometimes. We often believe we get more out of these shows than our customers do, and that really is true. We have structured this year formal roundtables with our executives and our customers during breakfasts and lunch. And, you'll have a good hour or more with multiple layers of senior leadership to give feedback. And then third and final, like I mentioned, come prepared to kick off our next fiscal year, really beginning October 1st. FY14. Again, we really feel bullish on the year. We've got some exciting announcements. We may or may not confirm some of the rumors floating around out there, and you've mentioned on your show, but we do have some really great announcements around technology, channel strategy that we'll go over with our customers during the show. So just come prepared to get ready and get some excitement around kicking off the new year. So Eric, I really do and Ken want to thank you for inviting me to Control Talk Now. 2 weeks from the show, really looking forward to seeing everybody, spending some time out in Scottsdale at the Talking Stick Resort and having some fun and celebrating some of our mutual successes together.
Okay, there you have it. Dan Flaherty from Johnson Controls. Hey, Dan, we'll see you in a couple weeks out in Phoenix. Thanks so much for being on the show. So, Kenny, I got to tell you, I mean, I think where you and I first met, actually, going back down history lane, we actually met at one of the Johnson's conferences probably back, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And Johnson does a great job with these conferences. They don't do them quite as often as everybody else, but when they do them, boy, they do them right. So, like I said, I met you at one of the first ones. The last one I went to was out in Phoenix, and I tell you what, dude, they took us up in these hang gliders. It was unbelievable. So that was one of the best times I've ever had, and it was just amazing. So Johnson does these meetings right. I mean, if you're not already registered for this, it might be a little late to get into it, but I would encourage you, if you're interested in going and you're not already registered, reach out to your local Johnson ABC, reach out to your local Johnson Controls distributor. Tell them you want to come see Dan, hang out in Phoenix, and see what's going on at the conference. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, next up we had the Smart Grid Innovations, demand interoperability to accelerate deployments. That's an interesting post put out by the Smart Grid Interoperability Panel. And it's a register now type of e-meeting, but it's just full of information of what's coming, what's bearing down on us from the external powers to be in the energy business. And this is how these are pushing the informations to the open ADR and the regulations that are basically going to drive how utility is distributed and monitored, and how consumers at every level are going to need to react to it and have equipment put in, thermostats, meters, so that they can participate in the smart grid.
Well, it's good stuff, and we talk a lot about the smart grid, Kenny. Especially you. You've really been tracking the different thermostats and how they're getting involved at a residential level with automated demand response. So, I don't see that trend going away. Do you?
Oh no, Eric. I'll tell you what. It's moving so fast that it's hard to keep track of the efforts by everybody, because certain parts of the country are obviously more driven than others. Some people have very strong power. Good, like we're very fortunate in Western Pennsylvania. We have a lot of energy. We don't have the brownouts that the Southwest is so famous for in California, and in the Northeast is just very incentive oriented. So if you're not playing with that, if you're not involved in it, you're leaving money on the table, and you're missing out on some great opportunities. But slowly but surely, the products are all going to have these features in them, because if you don't have them, you're not going to be able to be. You probably won't be Energy Starred. You won't be recognized by the Department of Energy as a valued partner, because you're not getting it. You're not putting components in there to make your parts smart, that can eventually lead into the integration to the utility companies' requirements to know where they've got electricity, where they've got surpluses, where they've got deficiencies, and how they can manage that so that they don't have any brownouts and they don't have to go out and buy very expensive energy. So the more you participate, the better, the more benefits you're going to get, and then you'll see more manufacturers making absolute certain that they get some skin in the game, make their components smart, and make them smart grid ready.
No, it's really interesting, because Georgia is one of the areas where I think we just have a surplus of energy. It's funny, we were out walking last night, and when my neighbor that's 2 houses over, we got to talking to him. He's an LED lighting guy. I mean, that's what he does. He goes in and talks to building owners about LED lights, and he just basically said that Georgia Power actually took him in, I guess, to a Braves game, took him to the executive suite, wondered what the heck he was doing, right? And so he was telling me that there's really not, and at least in Georgia, any real incentives for that. The building owners are making it making those decisions, not necessarily based on the energy savings, but based on the fact that they have a higher Energy Star rating and it makes their buildings more marketable. And I got another neighbor I met. He does solar stuff, so he actually installs solar stuff both in homes and buildings. Same sort of a deal. I mean, the owners are making it in spite of making those decisions to conserve energy and making their buildings more marketable, in spite of the fact that, at least in Georgia, there's not a lot of incentives for that. And, that kind of echoes what we heard. Remember, we met Ross Malme from Skipping Stone out at Haystack, and sort of saying the same things. There's certain parts of the country, California and Texas, where it's mandatory, and then you get other parts of the country where it's not. But it's interesting because, Kenny, you'll remember we met Daryl Smith at Realcom Ibicom, and he was saying, they are sort of a poster child for energy-saving measures and building optimization, and he was saying that they have some of the lowest utility rates in the country. So it's kind of interesting. We talk about saving energy, Kenny, and I think that's sort of a bonus, if you will. But the really savvy investors, I think, we've heard this from guys like Mark Jewell, who we'll hear from later, and the folks at Honeywell EEO, that the really savvy investors, building owners, are not making this on energy savings alone. I mean, the energy calculations in those savings are just a bonus. It's more about making their building more valuable, their marketing more. I guess they can charge more per square foot if their building has a higher Energy Star rating. And I think they're all playing for the fact that eventually, the supply and demand will probably shift again, and energy costs will go up, and they'll be set to take advantage of that. So cool
Sure.
stuff, though.
One point to your, just as a testament to what you said previously, the state of California is making ADR-ready thermostats mandatory come January 1st, 2014. Every thermostat going in has to have the ability to receive a signal from the utility to be, smart grid ready. So that's the first state to do that, but more to come, sure.
Yeah, absolutely on that. And, of course, a great place to sort of, Kenny's staying on top of this, which is fantastic. But, another great place to sort of track this is, our 2013 Control Trends Thermostat of the Year. I mean, if you think about some of the players we had there, from Honeywell, who we'll talk about later, to Ecobee, InTouch, Kenny, is just a fascinating thermostat. I was talking to Greg Fusolo, their CEO, yesterday. And these guys are taking it to a whole new level, Kenny. They actually have inputs in now, and what they're doing is they're actually where you can bring in multiple temperature inputs. Now they've actually got a pulse calculator that comes in, so you could actually have a BTU meter built into this system if you wanted to see how many BTUs you're using. So these guys are doing some really great stuff. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the thermostat of the year shakes out. So if you haven't checked InTouch out, they're definitely worth checking out. We'll have a link that you can go check those guys out. We've talked a lot about Ecobee. We've talked about our friends at Nest. So it seems like there are a lot of people that are playing in this game, and including, Kenny, what was that Irish thermostat you found at one point in time? It's kind of like the Nest of Europe. You remember those guys?
I sure do. But, getting back to what you were saying real quick, Eric, was that the thermostat market is increasing. In other words, we typically think in mercantile fashion where the pie is so big, and in order for you to increase your share of the pie, you got to take somebody else's share. And that's not what's happening here. These thermostat manufacturers are so good and so savvy, and they're going after niche markets. InTouch, for instance, is going after the chain stores, and they're very successful because they know specifically what that application requirement is, and they're giving those owners exactly what they want to see, and that is control, visibility into their bills. All right. The thermostat manufacturer from Ireland was Climote, Climote, and that's a nice play on the word climate, I suppose. But it's a top-rated thermostat in Europe, and of course they do things differently, different voltages, and a lot of hydronics, in Germany, and France, and England, where they don't use a lot of forced air. They use a lot of hydronics because it's more. I think it's more economical in their opinion and more comfortable. But the funny thing about the thermostats business, Eric, is it keeps expanding. It's a thermostat, but it's actually a room controller. And now these InTouch and even Ecobee is adding so much more of an overhead. So much more of a, they're getting all the the bells and whistles of a major site, and they're offering that at no cost to a contractor, so they get the big feel. They can show their customers, they can provide all the data, they can get all the the Google Map comes up with all the installed registered thermostats, so you got a real professional presentation. And so I really I give these guys a lot of credit. They really are developing those markets, and we need it. And it's just a win-win situation. The consumer's benefiting. Nest is I understand kicking butt and taking names still. We don't know a whole lot about them because we don't distribute them. They go direct. But we hear their names, and we hear people supporting them through our control trends. We get the comments, and we know that they're still very successful. And of course, Honeywell's got the good, better, best, and I think they're moving and grooving on all their market dimensions too.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get Mike Keller, our friend Mike Keller, on, who's running that division now, to talk a bit more about what they do. And we've got a little bit later in the show, we'll talk about one of their new additions. But yeah, it seems like Honeywell is the most modular out of them, Kenny, where you can add things like indoor air quality and things like that. And of course, I think the thing they all have in common is they're all accessible via the internet. So they all have an IP type address where you can remotely monitor and get information, and they just have different flavors of that. I think you're right. It's different flavors for different manufacturers, and a lot of great players this year. So the 2013 Thermostat of the Year is going to be a very, very interesting competition, because Viconics, who won it last year, is they're not standing still either. So we'll talk more about those in episodes to come. Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, Eric. Next up is the new Zone Builder template from DG Logic. These guys just keep on bringing it, high quality and affordable cost. And then they make the presentation easy to understand. They are also very successful. They were a 2012 CTA award winner.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, you guys saw Eugene Mazzo. He introduced the show. We love these guys. We finally call them the Men in Black. They're cool. They're sharp. I mean, they're perfectionists. The work they do is just absolutely fantastic. And they do a lot of great video tutorials, okay? So you can check those guys out. And this is just another example of a tutorial about, a template that you can use to build out the graphics on the floor. So great stuff. There's a link on the website. You can do that. But, hey, Kenny, even better, let me welcome to the show our next guest, Eugene Mazzo himself. Eugene, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And also, congratulations on your new website. It looks great. I'm a big fan.
So, Eugene, I mean, you guys obviously won the 2012 Control Trends Visualization Graphics Tool of the Year, deservedly so. I mean, obviously, we think you guys make fantastic products. We like you guys. And, I mean, you're a really good company. There's a lot of competition out there with you guys, everybody from J2 Innovations to Periscope. So that's quite an accomplishment with you guys. But you guys aren't standing still. I mean, in addition to improving that product, you guys have just come out with or launched in the not-too-distant past a really innovative product that I think is a game changer, DG Box. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks. We were actually really excited to win the Control Trends Awards last year. But you're right. A couple of months ago, we came out with a new product called the DG Box. And what that essentially is it's an end-to-end solution for data acquisition and control, trending, alarming, scheduling, tagging all of the data, whether you're using Haystack convention or your own, and the ability to query that data. So it has basically the full functionality that you need from an end-to-end solution of actually getting the data, talking to the end controllers, and building very sophisticated interfaces using the power of the visualization platform, DG Lux.
Why don't you tell us about the drivers and how you get the data from the DG Box to the customer's front end?
Sure. Currently, we're actually, and this is one of the things that we've been focusing quite heavily on, is connecting the Internet of Things, if you will, getting as much data as possible from as many data sources as possible. We're currently up to 24 drivers that are available and all included with DG Box. We don't charge extra for drivers. We don't charge extra for the number of points that are being brought in. Everything is included, everything that we have currently and everything that we will have in the future. Some of the notable drivers are your BACnet, your Modbus, your SNMP, your OPC. But some of the drivers that we have just added recently and we're very excited about are the InOcean driver, which is a great technology that we support very heavily. Also for residential as well as very light commercial, the Insteon protocol. And we're also just in a fun way, just for fun, we're interacting with the Philips Hue bulbs. All of those drivers are currently available in the DG Box software.
Eugene, got to tell you, man, this is just revolutionary as usual. It seems like you're really going to eliminate a lot of the workflow. For our listeners out there and viewers out there who want more information on DG Logic and specifically on DG Box, how do they get that information?
Yeah, the viewers can find out a little bit more information on DGBox on our website, www.dglogic.com/DGBox. There's a lot of information available in terms of what the product is, what it's capable of doing. You can click on the help icon on that page. That will take you to a wiki basically demonstrating some of the workflows that are being utilized to bring the data in and work with the data, as well as, of course, visualization, using that data to actually create very attractive interfaces. And currently, so there's some very exciting functionality built into the DGBox stack, and which is actually DGLux functionality. And DGLux being embedded into DGBox, it's obviously available to that as well. This is as close to plug and play as you can possibly get. You turn on you turn on your DGBox, you bring in a device. DGBox recognizes what the device is, creates the point templates, and creates the graphics automatically based on the tags that are available from that device.
But hey, Eugene, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for having me.
So, Kenny, I got to tell you, we are one of the distributors in the country that actually sell the DG Box. So it's a great product. Our users are really loving it. It's very, very low cost. And essentially, Kenny, you can take pretty much anything that has an open protocol from BACnet to Modbus, and you can create just a great graphics package very, very easily. I know our team is working on configuring one for the Honeywell RM7800 boiler controller. So, those are the type of things you can do. I mean, when we're at the Ibicon show, they actually had it talking to a Nest thermostat where they were pulling graphics out and creating graphics out of that. So it can pretty much talk to anything. It is a great, great product. You can reach out to us if you want to. We can talk to you about it. We work through other distributors across the country. So, like, for example, we had a gentleman in Maryland that was interested in the product, and we referred him to our good buddy Pat Marcellus at M&M. So it's a great product to work with, a great solution for data visualization. And I got to tell you, the Men in Black rock, and these visualization categories, Kenny, are going to be really going to be very interesting this year. How Eugene and his team pairs with the awards this year, because nobody else is standing still either. So, again, thanks to DG Logic, thanks to our man Eugene Mazzo, Arthur, and Dennis. You guys rock.
Very good, Eric. Next up, we have Mark Joel on conveying your value proposition. And boy, that's a great, great video. Just I tell you, I enjoy getting that sales grooming, because getting that elevator speech done, that 30-second presentation, and just understanding that you have to practice to be good at your trade. Look at any professional person, baseball player, football player, well, a salesperson involved in selling, building automation and controls. You also have to prepare.
Well, yeah, we've talked about Mark. Mark is, he's quite a find. We first met him, Kenny, at Honeywell Momentum. He came in and spoke and totally blew me away. I think that, my take on it, Kenny, is right now, if you don't have a great product and if you're technically not sound, you're not even part of the conversation. But conversation, I think, is the operative word here, Kenny, meaning if you cannot communicate the value that these systems are going to create for customers, and not just to communicate to the building automation engineer, because you're already doing that. He understands that. He understands what you're talking to, but when you're talking BACnet and LAN and all these points and VAVs and all that kind of stuff, but the guys that are making the decisions, and Mark will tell you this, are the CFOs, the CEOs, the IT professionals, and all of them are involved in this decision, and you have to be able to communicate to all of them in a way that resonates with them. So I say the big differentiator is going to be the people that can communicate and convey the messages and the value propositions to all these different customer sets and different types of customers in such a way that they can make a decision. So communication is absolutely critical now, Kenny. And Mark Jewell is the guy you want to go to. He is the guy you want to check out. His website is eefg.com. We're probably going to get Mark on the show here in the next couple of weeks to talk more. But Mark is also the featured speaker at the Honeywell EEO Energy Efficiency Optimization program that Honeywell put together. And say a bit about that, Kenny.
Well, it's a one-page proposal, sharpening your thinking, pitch an idea. Mark does a great job, and the training is essential to the new C-level players. We're going into C-suite players, and like you said, it's a tribe. It's not just one guy making a decision. It's several people, and they're going to be doing it at different times in the organization. And one thing's for sure, you're not going to be there, so you have to be able to convey information that's sticky enough that everybody picks that up. And Mark says that decisions are made by emotion. They're driven by emotion, but then justified by the financials. So you have to learn how to visualize financial information. So use the Kia and the ski jet versus the more expensive Subaru. I mean, so somebody will say, well, I do want this and I like this, but if I want them both, I've got to put this together. I've got to go this way. And you give them these visualized impressions that they can remember, so that they can go to work for you when they're in their boardroom meetings and they're all arguing about money and who's going to get what first.
No, couldn't agree more, Kenny. And Mark does a great job of that. He talks about the financial matrices and people. I mean, one of the things I'll give you right away is that he will tell you that you're never going to justify a sale based on simple payback and just using energy savings for that. So Mark really handles the sales end, the financial end, and then what they do, Kenny, Honeywell rolls this into what they call their EEO program, their energy optimization program. And Kenny, I went to that course, took one of my guys to it. The next one's in October. We are, I think, sending 5 or 6 back up to it. That's how important I think that particular program is. And Kenny, what Honeywell does with that is, and they will take, and so Mark Jewell does day 1 of that training. Day 2 and 3, they actually have a tool set that you walk through, so you can actually analyze a building, calculate the energy savings, put that in a proposal, a one page proposal, which Mark is a big proponent of. So it's a great program. And hey, instead of listening to me about it, why don't we just see what our next guest has to say about it? Hey, this is one of the founders of EEO, Jack Connell from Honeywell. Hey, Jack, welcome to Control Talk Now. Tell us a little bit about the EEO program.
Hey, Eric. Thanks very much for the opportunity to talk to you again on Control Talk. You and Ken are doing a great service to the industry with what you're doing here. So as to your question as to why someone would want to sign up for the EEO program, the Energy and Environmental Optimization Program, it boils down to targeting those contractors who have the capability, capacity, and motivation to grow their business in the energy space. With the years that I've spent doing energy projects, I found over the years that problem these days really is not so much the issue of how to develop scope or how to run a savings calculation any better. The issue is how do you sell the project, and that's the focus of the EEO program, improving the sales capabilities of the contractors out there. So if you're a Honeywell Webs contractor and interested in being able to sell more in the energy space, then certainly get in touch with your distributor, with your Honeywell rep, and get signed up for the EEO program. Thanks.
Nice.
That's awesome, Jack. Hey, man, really appreciate it. So next program is in October. We'll put a link to the bottom of it. Now, hey, you can only go to this if you're a Honeywell distributor or a Honeywell systems integrator. Honeywell thinks so much of this. They think of it as being a differentiator. So if you're not a Honeywell systems distributor yet, they have a great product. But on top of that, I mean, sign up so you can get access to this program. It's definitely worth checking out. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, next up, Eric, was the first talking thermostat. Honeywell introduces a brand new, fresh off the press. Heard it here first. No, I'm kidding.
We kind of did, Kenny, because they posted the video yesterday. They just announced it, and I think they did an ad in the Wall Street Journal. So it is kind of hot off the press. This is Mike Keller and his Control Ninjas put this thing together. So we've got a video of the talking thermostat. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, the innovation and the I love it. I just don't know. I'd like to see how many languages is in it. I mean, as soon as you hear about it, you want to know more. You want to know about the technology. But the little video, short video, 1 minute or so, it goes into the cleverness of it. In other words, instead of touching things and touch pads, you can't see things, and it's at night, and all those problems are just jumped forward into, hey, thermostat, make it 5 degrees warmer. or thermostat, I'm too cold. And this will interpret your English language, your spoken words, and it'll convert that into commands to raise and lower the temperature. So I think that is incredible. I don't know how well it'll go everywhere, but it'll certainly catch certain markets. You'd be sure of that.
We'll try to get Mike Keller on because this really is hot off the press. I heard about it yesterday for the first time. I was actually in a customer's office, a pretty big customer, and somebody from Honeywell called to tell him about it. And I guess they're advertising it at the Wall Street Journal. My understanding, and Mike Keller and Honeywell, if we're off on this, please correct us, that thermostat's not shipping quite yet. It will be shipping soon. Doing a big advertising campaign on it. So I hope we can get Mike on to talk a bit about the talking thermostat. But I got to tell you, Nest came out last year, and I think Nest just sort of dominated the realm of the cool. They I think, educated the rest of the market in the fact that you better be cool and you better have something sort of unique to capture the imagination of the customer base. And I thought Honeywell was just rocking with the different colored thermostats where you can actually, program it to have different colors based on your decor. I thought that was just an awesome feature that I thought, Honeywell had really entered into the realm of the cool with that. But now with the colored thermostats where you can change the colors and at the same time a talking thermostat, I don't know what Nest is going to do to outcool that. It'll be interesting to see. And, of course, Honeywell's apparently advertising in the Wall Street Journal. Heck, we'll probably even see them on the Super Bowl. Who knows, Kenny? But, this is cool stuff, right?
I agree. Again, we keep talking about thermostats, but again, when you talk about the largest recurring market where they go in and when things get renovated, the first thing they do is upgrade the thermostats. And I'll tell you, and now we have the pressure being put in, and the incentives being put in by the DOE and by the smart grid and open ADR, so that you're going to pick a new thermostat and you're going to get it with the features that are going to make you compliant to these new federal initiatives. And also, you're going to get to pick, it's like a car now. You could pick the features you like. And if you don't like programming your thermostat, well, then there you go.
You just talk to it, yeah. Well, there's an old adage. I mean, we're old timers. I don't know whether other people have this or not, but they say rather than get mad at your wife, just go kick the dog, So who knows? Now maybe it'll be, you get mad at your wife and go yell at your thermostat, right?
Well, I know it's like Siri. If you say the wrong thing, it won't compute. It says, I did not understand that. I forget how it went, but watch the video.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Siri's voice in there, doesn't it? It sounds like her voice. And yeah, I think somebody does say something to her and say something to the thermostat, and it says, don't talk to me that way or something like that.
I want ice cream, and the other one says, I want cake. And then, it said repeat. I forget, but it's a great little video, and it's worth watching because technology is just leapfrogging ahead, and we're getting that technology put into every one of the devices that we use so commonly. So
well, there you go, Kenny. I tell you what, I think it's a great time to be in the controls industry. We'll be tracking this thermostat. We'll see if we can get Mike Keller on. Honeywell's got their roadshow coming out. Speaking of new products, they'll probably be showing this product at the roadshow. Amy Anderson, head of marketing, we've been talking a bit with her. Honeywell's going out to their local distributors. We're calling it a roadshow. I think they're just calling it a product show, but they're going to have the best product managers. They're going to go to a local distributor near you. We'll be tracking that, but if next time you're at your local Honeywell distributor, ask them if the Honeywell Roadshow's coming through. So that's good stuff. Thanks to Mike Marston, his team at EasyIO. We appreciate you guys. We'll hopefully get Mike on the show again sometime soon. Eugene Mazzo, thanks so much for the intro. Also, Eugene, man, thank you so much for the interview. Great products. DG Box, be sure to check it out. Dan Flaherty, hey, buddy, we're going to see you out at the Johnson Conference. We're going to have a good time. Don't know whether we're going to get to flying gliders again or not, Kenny, but who knows? Maybe we'll get out in dune buggies and shoot kangaroos or something. Who the heck knows? But that'll be fun. So looking forward to that. So if you're a Control Trends listener and you are a Control Talk Now listener, you're at the Johnson meeting, please come up and say hello. Would love to meet you. Kenny, I think that's a wrap for the week. The other thing I said, please go to controlbid.com, check it out. If you got some old products you want to put up there, put them up there, list them, no listing fees. Hey, if you're looking to buy something that's old or obsolete, great place to check it out. It's going to take a while for that to build up, but the quicker people start putting stuff up and start going there, the faster it's going to happen. Kenny, I've only had 3 cups of coffee today. I'm guessing I'm probably talking 9,000 miles an hour, so I'm feeling a crash coming on. Okay, so with that, that's it, Kenny. Another week of Control Talk Now. I'm Eric Stromquist. He's Ken Smyers. You've been listening to Control Talk Now. Check us out next week on controltrends.org. Ken and I will be posting, keeping you up to date with control news you can use. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Indeed, Eric.